helped make the decision to sit. Yesterday, Bennet said more needs to be done to bring attention to the protest, saying it would take a white player to really get things changed, because when somebody from the other side understands and they step up and they speak up about it, it would change the whole conversation. Because when you bring somebody who doesn't have to be a part of the conversation, making himself vulnerable in front of it, I think when that happens, things will really take a jump. Shannon, are you glad that Bennet said this?
I'm ecstatic. Skip, who said this very same thing 8 months ago? I said you got to get someone from the other side, mainly white America. And since this is a sports and we're talking about the NFL, we need some white players. Give us a Tom Brady. Give us an Aaron Rodgers, a Drew Brees, and Andrew Luck. And now you're going to see the needle move. Because, hold on, Dr. King was marching for a long, long time before those 2 white priests, Catholic priests, came down from Massachusetts and got killed. And that's what you need, Skip. You need someone from the other side that may not experience what this side is going through. But you say, you know what? What they are experiencing in that community is wrong. It's a travesty. We live in America, and it says that we're all created equal. Shouldn't we all be treated equal? Why are some disproportionately treated worse than others? All you need is that. That's all you've ever needed. And the civil rights movement gained traction when those Catholic priests lost their lives and other whites started to join. And when they started to join, then LBJ started listening. Then things started happening. Because when you get those, that's when policies will go into effect that's going to change how these officers interact with unarmed men and women of color. Skip, that's what you need. You can talk about, oh, we got to work this out in the black community. No, we don't. Yeah, in our community, we know what we need to do, but we're not in a position to enact policies. We're not in a position. I told you, they'll pray for black folk. They'll listen to white and rich folk. So we need them to help take up this fight and treat it just like civil rights. Because, Skip, if Jackie Robinson's teammate had ostracized him, it was them that said, no, if he can't stay, we won't stay. If he can't play, we won't play. We haven't seen that yet, Skip, but I believe it's going to happen. Even if, are they as heavily involved in it, or it means as much to them as a Michael Bennet or Malcolm Jenkins? Probably not. But to say they don't know what's going on, they watch the news. They can't turn on their TV without something like this every day, be it Georgia, Ohio, Florida, California, Texas. Doesn't matter the location. They see it, they hear it, they know it's real, and it's affecting their teammates. They say we're brothers. Think about it. Everybody talk about, oh, that's my brother. Okay. Your brother's suffering. Will you take up the fight and fight with your brother? Will you fight alongside your brother? I know you do it in the game. Skip, there's teammates that you might not like. You might not like him, but somebody from the other team can't dislike him. You're going to step up and defend him.
You got it.
I need to see some of these white players step up and defend their brothers in this situation.
Okay, help me out. What is this situation? Are we talking about a white player stepping up to fight for Colin Kaepernick getting a job, or a white player stepping up to fight racism in this country?
Racism, the police brutality.
Okay.
Colin Kaepernick situation is a separate issue. Colin Kaepernick protested. He kneeled in protest so people that couldn't be seen standing could all of a sudden be seen. That's what Michael Bennet, that's what these guys are doing. I want to hear Aaron Rodgers say, you know what, that's wrong. We've seen so many guys, and we're going to talk about President Trump a little later.
Yep.
We've seen so many of the white prominent CEOs come out that were very close to Donald Trump and say what he said is wrong. Racial hatred and bigotry in this country by white supremacists and nationalists and neo-Nazis and the Ku Klux Klan is unacceptable. That's too, Skip. I want to hear Mr. Kraft say that. I want to hear Tom Brady. I want to hear these guys. Woody Johnson, you're the ambassador of Great Britain. Daniel Snyder. I'm not saying you got to disown. I'm not saying you got to disown Donald Trump, President Trump. Excuse me. I'm sorry, President Trump. But remember last week, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? One of my very best friends sat in that chair right there, and we had a passionate, heated disagreement.
You did.
I think, Ray Lewis, I think the best part of being a friend is that you're not afraid to tell your friends the truth. See, standing up to an enemy is easy. That's the easiest thing you'll do. Standing up to your friends, that takes guts, that takes courage. I'm listening. I'm listening, owners.
Okay, help me out on this.
Gotcha.
Would you want the white participation, especially from, it needs to come from a quarterback or, to your point, an owner?
Yes.
Do you want it?
We'll take J.J. Watt, too.
Okay, J.J. Watt would work. In fact, after J.J. Watt, I can't think of anybody else who would carry much impact other than the quarterbacks.
Quarterbacks, correct.
And in the quarterbacks, I'm with you. You got Brady, Breeze,
Rodgers,
Eli,
Matt Ryan.
Yeah,
We'll
not
take
as
him
much impact,
Yeah. But he is a prominent white male
but
athlete.
he's an MVP. Yep.
And to say what's going on, this police brutality,
Okay.
the killing of my brothers.
Do you want their participation in word or deed or both? As in, do you want them also to sit for the anthem, or you just want them to speak up and speak out?
Speaking.
Okay.
I'll just take a speech right now. I'll just take acknowledgement.
Okay.
Because, Skip, even though, and we're going to talk about this, we see owners and we see the commissioner and we see general manager says we have to understand the other side of the protest. But they have yet to utter the word. What are they protesting? They won't say that because what they're trying to do, look, he's trying to appease one side. He's trying to appease the black fan. We need to understand they're protesting. Now, they are protesting here, but I'm going to appease this big fan base by not acknowledging what they're protesting to begin with. We're going to keep the protest on the anthem. Everybody keeps talking about the anthem and what it means to them. But nobody is talking about why the guys are protesting the anthem to begin with.
Because a lot of people just can't get past you disrespected the flag. We've talked about that.
Yes.
So, if I know my history correctly, you go back to August 28th of 1963 when Dr. King led a march on Washington for jobs and freedom.
Correct.
And it was reported that the first large-scale participation of whites in a civil rights movement came on that day in that march because prominent leaders from the Jewish, Catholic, and Protestant faith marched.
Correct.
Now, again, Dr. King didn't ask them to march over the flag or to disrespect the flag in any way, but they marched. And then you talked about the two who got killed. How much did that help? I don't know. Did it eliminate racism in this country? Well, clearly it didn't because as I always say, it's alive in hell. You know, like it's still okay.
It goes back to biblical times where people, your color and how you were viewed. Skip, but here's the thing. When you talk about white supremacy, and President Trump had mentioned that he's the smartest guy to ever hold this office, pretends that he doesn't know. Well, let me give him a little. White supremacy is the ideology or the thought that solely because of my race, I'm better than you are. Not because of my ability, not because of my education, not because of my financial being, solely because I'm white. Because in the beginning, what was written? Everything was catered to the white male. It was written by the white male. It was said that blacks did not have the right to do anything. You were 3/5. So they have this ideology, and they say we want it to go back. But if you remember, and I said this, Skip, you can say a lot of derogatory things. We've seen even our president say some things about women and say things about disabled journalists. Called John McCain a loser because he was caught. Although John McCain refused to come home until everybody came home.
Okay.
But what happened? When they was marching down those streets of Charlottesville, what was those neo-Nazis, what were they saying? Jews will not replace us. This is our land. And that was the final straw. I've said this. You could say a lot of things. You could, even when the people was getting the blacks was standing up in his rallies and saying resist, and the whites were punching them and the police was manhandling. That didn't do enough. They said Jews will not replace us. This is our land. and the council of those prominent CEOs that hires a lot, that determines the unemployment rate, they say, this is where we draw the line.
And if not for Dunkirk, he might have pulled it off.
Yeah. But
okay, back to the question. Let's do the hypothetical.
Okay.
Of these candidates to step up and speak out, the most probable one for me is Drew Brees. I think he's made of that kind of stuff. And he obviously has that much cachet and that big a platform.
And he's in the city that's heavily populated with African Americans.
Thank you. So let's say he spoke up and spoke out. Do I think it would maybe help enlighten some with racist tendencies? I do. Do I think it might help soften some racist stances? I do. But I'm going to say this one more time, and I have a small sample size on this, but I have a pretty good gut feel when it comes to this. I believe Colin Kaepernick did more good than a lot of people think.
Yes.
I think he had resounding impact on this country, on white people, more than you may think. Slightly opening ears and eyes and maybe even minds, because it was a powerful thing that he was doing. And it shook people to their foundation, which is patriotism, which could be blended with racism a little bit. Wherever it is, whatever that blend.
And prejudice, they
sometimes,
real close.
whatever. But whatever those closed minds were.
Correct.
There are some who just, once you disrespect the flag, they're out. Then again, they go home and they're thinking, you know, because all of a sudden we're talking every day about, wow, there are so many instances of white cops shooting unarmed black men. Really?
Yeah.
Really? And so you start piling them up, and we've talked about it so much in the realm of sports, which, you know, we all go to the sports to escape, but we can't escape this one because it's just right in our face, and it should be in our face. So Colin Kaepernick sort of rubbed our noses in it, the white people's noses in it, to the point, and maybe he sacrificed his career. He just might have.
That might have.
And I will, if he did, I will always remember him for this, that he did this, which is a pretty great thing to be remembered by.
Yes, and remember they said, Skip, now this was a year ago. Oh, this is a fad. This is going to go away. This is not going away. We're still talking about it.
We are.
But let me ask you a question, Skip. Of those men that was walking down carrying those 3 flags, and one of them was the American flag, no one said that those guys disrespect. I don't need thoughts. I need actions. I need to hear you say it. Say what you said about Colin Kaepernick disrespecting the flag. Say that these men and what they were saying, carrying that flag, is disrespectful.
I got it.
You go down there. Oh, if you want to protest like we don't want this, Skip, Dr. King and all his protesters, nobody showed up with bats. Nobody shows up with guns. Nobody shows up with sticks. You go to protest the taking down of a Robert Lee statue, and you got AK-47s, you got bats, you got guns, you got knives. You're expecting something to pop off. You're hoping something pop off because you're there to do what, Skip? Terrorize, put people in fear.
Well, you come from a place of hate, you have to assume it doesn't.
Exactly.
It would take a tremendous amount of courage for, especially a white.
Well, Tom Brady, ask Tom Brady off, because Tom Brady's in the President Trump's corner. And he's not going to say,
well,
he was. I don't know.
What you mean was?
Well, I don't know. Was he?
I mean,
I know Floyd Mayweather is, because he went up to visit him after the election, but I haven't heard Tom say a thing after the election.
People have a change of heart through action and time all the time.